Took me 5 years. It's very, it's okay, so.
We'll call this meeting to order. Can we get a motion to go into closed session per stated in the meeting agenda?
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? We are in closed session. We'll call this meeting to order. The Orange County Board of Education pledges to its citizens to conduct its business in a courteous and productive manner, showing respect for fellow board members, staff, and its citizens. The board asks its citizens to conduct themselves with the same courtesy towards both school personnel and each other. A moment of silence will be observed before each meeting. In addition to the moment of silence, the board will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. The board asks that you check your cell phones and other electronic devices to be certain they are either turned off or on vibrate to avoid interruptions of the meeting. For safety of all of our participants, please refrain from bringing or eating any food items that contain nuts or nuts products. Thank you. All right, we'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and take a moment of silence. All right, thank you, everyone. So to get started tonight, we have recognitions.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, Dr. Jones, Cabinet, board members, community members. Native American Heritage Month is a time to honor the vibrant histories, diverse cultures, and immeasurable contributions of Indigenous people across the United States. We recognize the deep wisdom, resilience, and enduring presence of Native communities whose traditions, languages, and stewardship of the land continue to influence and enrich our society. This month encourages us to reflect on the truths of our shared history, to uplift Indigenous voices, and to celebrate the creativity, leadership, and cultural knowledge that Native people contribute every day. It is also a reminder of our responsibility to learn, to listen, and to support efforts that protect sovereignty, preserve cultural heritage, and strengthen Native communities for generations to come. May we carry this awareness and respect beyond November, honoring Indigenous people not just in recognition, but through ongoing commitment and meaningful action. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Exceptional Children Teacher of Excellence for 2025.
Good evening to our board, Superintendent Jones, families, and all who are with us in person and online. I am honored here to stand before you tonight to recognize Ms. Allie Couch as the NCDPI Exceptional Children Educator of Excellence for the 2025-2026 school year, representing Orange County Schools. Ms. Couch has been a valued member of Orange County Schools and has consistently demonstrated an unwavering commitment to her students' academic, social, and emotional growth. Ms. Couch is a student-centered educator whose passion for teaching is evident in every interaction. She approaches her work with positivity, patience, and professionalism, ensuring that each student feels valued, supported, and capable of success. She creates inclusive learning environments that foster independence, growth while setting high expectations for her students. Her ability to design engaging, special design instruction and adapt strategies to meet the needs of diverse learners is a testament to her skill and dedication. Beyond her work with students, Ms. Couch is a collaborative and dependable colleague. She works seamlessly with general education teachers, related service providers, and families to ensure that students receive the most comprehensive support possible. She is always willing to share her expertise, mentor others, and contribute to the success of her school community. Her thoughtful approach ensures that students' skills extend beyond the classroom and prepare them for success in everyday life. Ms. Allie Couch embodies the qualities of an EC educator of excellence. Her commitment, compassion, and professionalism shines throughout her daily practice, making her an asset to our district and an inspiration to her peers. We are fortunate to have her as part of our Orange County Schools teams. Congratulations, Ms. Couch.
Gathering. All right, there we go. Everybody looking this way on the count of three. 1, 2, and thank you. Oh.
Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Next, we have National Career Development Month.
So, good evening, happy November, happy National Career Development Month. November is the time to celebrate the important work that all public school staff do in helping students explore their interests, set goals, prepare for their future careers. Every lesson, conversation, and opportunity that teachers, school counselors, and career development coordinators provide help students see the connection between what they are learning today and the possibilities that await them tomorrow. We are lucky here in Orange County Schools to have 2 career development coordinators, Nick Montgomery at Orange High School and Stephanie Smith at Cedar Ridge High School. I will be celebrating them on Wednesday, November the 19th, have a certificate to present to them. I'll give them a little chocolate of some sort, right, to recognize them, just to say thank you. But we also want to take the time tonight to recognize our fall 2025 internship sites. It's local businesses that are willing to take a student on for them to learn on the job for that 120 hours. In the fall, we have interns, high school interns at ADAPT, Allscape, Chapel Hill Tire, CQC Home, Grady A. Brown Elementary School, Paul's Forever, Serpentine Salon, Sportsplex, the Town of Hillsborough, and the General Store, and we have an apprenticeship student at Siemens. We are very thankful for our fall 25 business partners. This year, the North Carolina governor issued a proclamation, and I would like to read that proclamation at this time. Whereas career development coordinators in career and technical education programs in North Carolina's public schools are committed to helping students explore their potential in personal social development, education achievement, lifelong learning, and career management, and whereas career development coordinators advance the mission of the North Carolina's CTE programs by connecting students with community resources and services that foster success in college and careers, preparing them to contribute meaningfully to their communities and society. Whereas career development coordinators empower students to make informed decisions regarding post-high school plans, which may include immediate work in a civilian or military occupation or further education in a vocational program, community college or university. And whereas career development coordinators support the work of CTE organizations by extending student learning based on the instructional competencies, and whereas career development coordinators assist students in understanding the 16 career pathways in the National Career Cluster Framework that represents more than 70 career pathways to success in college, career, and resident readiness. And through career development education, CTE students gain the critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, leadership, and essential employability skills necessary to thrive in the modern business world and contribute to the vitality of our state and nation. And whereas National Career Development Month Association has declared November 25 National Career Development Month and November the 19th National Career Development Day. Now, therefore, I, Josh Stein, Governor of the State of North Carolina, do hereby proclaim November 2025 as North Carolina Career Development Month and November the 19th as North Carolina Career Development Coordinator Day and in North Carolina, and commend its observances to all citizens. Thank you for allowing us to present this to you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Atherton, Vice Chair Padilla, Dr. Jones, members of the board, and everyone here tonight. It's a pleasure to bring you a recognition for Veterans Day. North Carolina is unique among few states that do not hold classes, and it's been since 2004 that the calendar law has required that we close. That means that our schools were very intentional about celebrating Veterans Day on several days around November 11th. And we're going to take you through some of what you see here and invite everyone to check out our Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and the website, where you can see a lot of reminiscences from days like this and many other days in the recent past. Student, staff, families, and community members actively celebrate this holiday to inspire honor and remembrance for all who have served in our nation's military. Some schools posted special displays. Individual teachers and clubs also took part in sharing appreciation. We were excited to share, for instance, staff at Grady Brown inaugurated a new practice this year, creating a display to honor members of their families, staff families who have served in the military. The Cedar Ridge High School chapter of our DECA clubs, a business education club, completed Veterans Day cards and handed those out at the local VA, a fantastic way to demonstrate service on their National Day of Service. And students in the Kindness Club at A.L. Standback Middle School created cards for veterans, including those who work at the school. We were excited to share some of those very personal stories on our social media. But on Friday, November 7th, we were able to witness a very exciting ceremony and very solemn ceremony. First graders at Hillsborough Elementary School presented their annual Veterans Day program. First for their fellow students in the morning, where they rehearsed very, very faithfully. Then for family members and honored guests in the afternoon. The official ceremony was filled with patriotic songs and appreciation for all who have served in our nation's armed forces, and they worked very, very hard and memorized all their songs. Superintendent Dr. Danielle Jones, who served for 4 years in the United States Air Force, was invited to read portions of a book that everyone at HES reads every year called The White Table. They read it to learn about and appreciate this tradition that started during the Vietnam War. And students very, very carefully and very intentionally brought forward item after item to assemble a table where no one will ever sit, as a way to remember and honor all the, quote, men and women who serve in America's armed forces, especially those missing in action and those held prisoner of war. And as you can see, many of the things that we observed and witnessed and got to share during that ceremony are in the abstract. Many, many more are on social media and on the website. Thanks obviously go to the Orange Middle School Chorus, who came and did a wonderful rendition of our national anthem during the presentation of the colors by the Sheriff's Office. The program included songs like This Land is Your Land and You're a Grand Old Flag, full of choreography that the students really enjoyed participating in, and they were clearly dedicated. And then the Armed Forces medley played, during which veterans of all the branches of the Armed Forces, Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and Coast Guard, were all invited to stand and receive handwritten cards with artwork from HES students to say thank you for your service, and they were brilliant, and the children were very proud to walk around the entire gymnasium to hand those out. So we're proud to celebrate Veterans Day in honor and memory of all who have served in our nation's military and to protect our freedoms, and we thank you for giving us time for this recognition tonight.
Thank you. All right, next we have our agenda adoption. I am not aware of any items to be pulled tonight. Having none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda, we have our public comment. Ms. Padilla?
Thank you.
We will now hear public comments. Speakers will be called in order in which they signed up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Yielding time to other speakers is not permitted. If a speaker has written materials they would like to share, please hand them to our board clerk, Mr. McCune, and we will distribute them to the board. The purpose of public comment is for the board to hear from members of the public, not to engage in back and forth discussions. Per our policy, board members will not respond to speakers during the public comment session. The board greatly values public feedback and welcomes all comments regardless of viewpoint. However, please be reminded that children are often at these meetings and that our public comments policy prohibits profanity, vulgarity, and personal abuse of any person. We ask that comments be civil, respectful, and free of personal attacks. Any speaker who violates our public comment period or otherwise exceeds the bounds of order and decorum, will be given a warning. Continued violations may result in a speaker being ruled out of order, at which point we will move to the next speaker. And tonight we have our speaker, Ms. Tracy Lloyd.
Good evening, Chair Atherton, Vice Chair Padilla, and members of the Orange County School Board. My name is Tracy Lloyd, and I serve as the president of the Orange High School Band Boosters. We are a parent-run organization that supports our students through volunteer work and fundraising. I'm here tonight to ask you to reinstate a yearly transportation subsidy for the Orange High School Marching Band, a subsidy that was provided in the past and is vital to the continued success of our program. While marching band is often considered an extracurricular activity, these students are enrolled in a graded academic course. They spend class time, afternoons outside of school, and some Saturdays in the fall season working together to learn music and drill to represent Orange High School in regional competitions. Attendance at these weekend events is required because every student plays a critical role in the overall performance. This year's band currently has 56 members, including instrumentalists and color guard. The most efficient and safest way to transport them all is by utilizing the school system's activity buses, just as our athletics teams do. Before 2020, Orange County Schools allocated funds each year to cover this bus use. The band boosters, through community fundraising, pay for the many other expenses of running a marching program, which include paying for uniforms, instruments, props, music, drill, insurance, and more. This partnership allowed our students to travel to competitions without placing the entire financial burden on families and volunteers. The boosters have since shouldered all transportation costs in addition to our other responsibilities. This has stretched our resources and limited the quality of our program. We are asking that you consider reinstating a yearly subsidy that will allow our students to more fully participate in the requirements for their school course, thus freeing up fundraising efforts to focus on rebuilding the quality of our music program to what we once were. These young people work hard and use their talents to represent our community with pride. Please strongly consider supporting them in this very tangible and fundamental way. Thank you for your time and your continued support of the arts in Orange County Schools.
Thank you.
And that concludes our comments.
Thank you, Ms. Padilla. We'll start with board comments. Andre?
Sure, thank you. Real quick, the only thing I have is I'd just like to say Happy Native American Heritage Month. Congratulations to Ms. Couch, EC Teacher of Excellence, and Career Development Month, and Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans, especially my dad.
Thank you. Ms. Hauser?
Yeah, thank you. I'll ditto that, Mr. Richmond, on honoring Native American Month. Congratulations to Ms. Couch, and special thanks to our veterans who, in my family, we have an unusual relationship that's very special, and very grateful to veterans. I am really excited about celebrating Career Development Month. It's kind of one of my favorites, and I have special thanks to Ms. Braxton, Mr. Montgomery, and Ms. Smith. You are nothing less than amazing. And also thanks to our internship sites, and I think Eflin Cheeks Community Center is now also an internship site. My whole month has been around career development. I attended the Business Advisory Council meeting, the State Superintendent Mo Green's presentation in Chapel Hill, and Orange County Schools' first strategy session at Cedar Ridge High School. And career development and extended career pathways were front and center in all of those. I think, and those of you who are there, I think Superintendent Green might have mentioned that North Carolina leads the country in career and technical education, which was really cool. At the suggestion of our staff and business sponsors, I even visited the Coast in Brunswick County, which is considered a best-in-class K-12 Applied Science and Technology Center. Their CTE center is co-located with Brunswick County Community College, and their students are learning aerospace engineering, renewable energy, drone piloting, amongst many other things that our students are also learning, like automotive, cybersecurity, and business management. I also was really reassured when Mr. Montgomery mentioned in the Business Advisory Council meeting that he's speaking with Catawba County about things that they're doing to help their students secure credentials in healthcare, pharmacy, and law. These are things that would be really exciting to add to our programming. And of course, I've got to go a little bit by the numbers. By the numbers, 97% of our CTE concentrated students are graduating from high school, which is really impressive. Every year, more and more students are graduating with associate's degrees. And thanks to Nick and Stephanie, our students have access to internships and apprenticeships, which really set them up for real-world employment. And honestly, if you look at the data, that's one reason that so many students return to Orange County schools, even if they attend a charter or an alternative school in their earlier grades. So career development pathways is one of the many things that's going really right. Thank you, Ms. Braxton and your team. It's one of the things that's going really right for Orange County schools. And it would be really great if our board could get an update, a full update on everything that's happening with CTE and alternative pathways in a future meeting. So it's just it's something to be we should be really proud of. Thank you.
Ms. Purcell?
Oh, I thought I was going to be live. Well, thank you to everyone for the recognitions tonight, and I have to say I have to give a shout out to my own son, who is a veteran of the United States Army, and everyone for Veterans Day. I have attended several conferences within the last month, one in Asheville, the law conference sponsored by NCSBA, and then this past week, the one in Greensboro, sponsored by NCSBA. And I have to give a great big shout out to Dr. Jones, Dr. Pack, Kristen Madison Williamson, and Kelly Parks for their wonderful presentation that they did that day on how to work with the people within your district and manipulate data, work with children so that they know where they are on the whole realm of everything with data and what they need to learn and concentrate on. It was a powerful presentation. They did a fantastic job. And I just want to say thank you to them for doing that. I also visited the dedication of the community building in Eflin a couple of weeks ago. They had an addition added on that the county helped fund so that children could come in the afternoon and study there and work there and have a room dedicated for that. And that was pretty powerful to go and watch too, because the county officials, the Board of County Commissioners were there, and the people of Eflin that had worked on that so hard. So a big shout out to them for asking for that and for working with our children and doing something to help and ensure that they have a place to come to and a place that they can come and get help if they need it with their studies. So that's what I have been up to.
Thank you. Ms. Smiley?
Yes, I also wanted to mention the amazing session that the team did at the School Boards Association conference. I think it was the best session that I went to at the conference. So well done. You really brought to life the sort of continuous improvement process that you all are working at and instilling, and I'm really excited to see where it brings us over this year. I also went to there were a couple of sessions that touched on AI. I know we have an AI topic here today. One thing I jotted down from one of those was the recommendation to always start with what problem are we trying to solve with whatever the AI topic is. And that does seem relevant generally in terms of how I see lots of folks just jumping on using it and for what. That felt relevant. And then another thing I wanted to mention is one night after the school board conference ended, I went to the twice annual Climate Council meeting for the Orange County Climate Council. And a couple of things I wanted to highlight from that meeting. One is they are wrapping up their draft of a heat action plan for the county. So I don't know if y'all remember, a number of months ago, I mentioned just the amount of health challenges that are being created through excessive heat. And so one part of that action plan specifically, well, one fact I learned was that the heat emergency, the EMS, they looked at the data from 2018 to 2025, and the highest number of patients for needing, where EMS was called for heat emergencies was in it looks like ages 15 to 20 age range. So it's actually not, senior citizens or, some of these groups that you hear about more, but actually youth. And I think the theory there, I think, was that it was related to like outdoor sports in the summer and the hot ends of the season, which are extending more and more into the school year. And so one of the categories they have is in their outreach and education to prepare and protect the public is youth heat safety education. And so their plan there is to distribute educational materials and just be able to access youth and inform them more about things like the difference between heat stroke and heat exhaustion, and one of those is more dangerous, and I don't remember what it is. But it did make me wonder if there might be some connection to like the health standards or something in terms of this education topic. So, this is a couple of years out, probably, them developing these heat safety educational materials for youth. But if there's some way to get them to our students through like a natural place in the curriculum, that could be helpful. And then also the climate grants, I didn't write down what the name of them is, but the climate grants that you can apply for, the window for that's going to open June 1st again. They're working on an easy grant portal system, so it'll be easier for us to apply. That's what I have.
Thank you, Ms. Smiley.
Sarah.
Mr. Wall?
Thanks, Will. Good to see everybody tonight. Thank you, band booster parents, for coming out and speaking from your experience. I wanted to touch on Native American Heritage Month, and I always think about, we had some really good training as board members a number of years ago, and I'm appreciative of the training we had with one of our staff members. Until that time, I was not aware of the 8 state-recognized tribes, and it was just mentioned during that training, not just mentioned, it was emphasized how important it is that we always say the 8 state-recognized tribes. So there might be some people who aren't familiar with what they are. So they are and I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing these right. I hope someone corrects me if I mispronounce, but we've said these quite a bit. So there's the Kohari, the Eastern Band of the Cherokee, the Halawa Saponi, the Lumbee, Meherrin, Occaneechi Band of Saponi Nation, where we are, and also Saponi is near, and Wakama Siouan tribe. And so I really appreciate the partnerships we've had, particularly with the Occaneechi Band of Saponi Nation, and also we've had training from a member of the Saponi tribe. So I just appreciate that we've learned a lot from them, and I hope we all continue learning in that way. I also wanted to mention the community listening session that I went to at Cedar Ridge, and I'm glad to hear about all the many faceted approaches Dr. Jones and her team are taking to hear from a broad cross-section of our community as we gear up towards our new strategic plan, and want to hear more parent voice. And I want to elevate again, I hope we as a board take a look at policy 5015 with parent volunteers as we are opening up more opportunities to have ad hoc committees or task forces where we have parent voice. I just think it's vitally important that we're actually getting a cross-section of parents, and the current version of our policy is really inconsistent with neighboring districts because we require any parent interested in participating in community engagement like task force to pass a background check. And especially at this time when many of us are aware and concerned about how stressed families are in our community, I think any hindrance to hearing from broader community voice is really to our detriment and detriment of our students. So thanks.
Ms. Padilla?
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight and expressing your concerns about the Booster Club, and thank you for being here. I participated in a lot of the similar events that most of the board members attended, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. I just want to acknowledge and say thank you to all the veterans also. I made sure that I called all my family members. My family has pretty much been part of all the military branches. And I'm glad that we're still talking about Native American Month, and hopefully maybe next year we can have one of the tribes be here and maybe do a resolution or something. I just thought about that. But I want to take the time, the 3 minutes that we have, keep it short, and talk about, as a leader, as a community advocate, as I sit here before you, it is my duty as a human being to speak onto what is happening in our nation, and specifically here in North Carolina. As we know that our communities are being targeted with ICE raids in Charlotte, I want the community to know that they're not alone, that there are supports and there's people that are willing to support them, and that we are here. I'm here. And I hope the rest of our community is here because we are all North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Padilla. So I'm not going to go through as well all of the items and recognitions. Band boosters, thank you for being here, and definitely stop by Dewey's at the Hillsborough Christmas Bazaar, and thank y'all for all y'all do for all of our students and families. I also just wanted to acknowledge too the great job the staff did at the Greensboro, North Carolina School Boards Association Conference. It was wonderful. I always learn a little bit more about what we're doing and how we're doing it, so I appreciate the time and the details that were shared with other leaders across North Carolina as they look out, they approach addressing all of the educational needs. I did want to highlight a few things that I was able to do since last meeting. I was invited to the NC State National School Planning Conference that had ORAD, TIMS, the Institute for Transportation Resource and Education. This was about an every 10-year item that they do where they bring different research across from the United States and look at different items. A few of the items that I was able to sit in and listen to, which had some great background and information on many relevant topics, is things like student-led planning for facilities, playground, and safe routes, addressing the challenges of schools. Really great to hear from many different aspects of that. Building tomorrow's schools today, sustainability implementation meets financial feasibility, which is definitely a topic we're going to run into. I have talked to the superintendent and some board members about us looking at our sustainability policy, especially as we're looking for a new school and seeing what we should do or talk about changes to that. The other event I was able to attend is I got the honor to be a judge at the DECA district level. We had many students compete in that as well, not through my judging, but and did quite fantastic. So congratulations to all the students that participated and are going to the state conference as well. I did get a chance to attend the Mo Green visit here at Orange High School. I just wanted to thank the staff that helped and all of the students that were the guides going through our school and all the panels that answered a lot of questions about how they feel the schools are doing and what could be done at the state level, and asking a lot of tough questions to Mo Green and his team. I also got to attend the school board advisory committee that was mentioned earlier from Bonnie. One thing that I wanted to highlight that also came up in the School Boards Association chairs meeting was the required CTE credit that's in middle school and in high school to graduate that requires a CTE teacher to teach it versus anyone else on licensure. So it's not just a concern within Orange County, it's definitely a concern across the state, and school districts trying to figure out another unfunded mandate to the school systems to accommodate. So that is something that I am planning personally to write to our senators as well on what they can do to help us with that and look at the intention versus the requirement. And last item I'll mention is the all-county band for middle school bands. I got a chance to go and listen to that. They did a fantastic job at A.L. Stand Back. Just some amazing musicians in less than a day and a half, and it was wonderful to hear everything that they learned. And I'll just echo Ms. Padilla's sentiments on where we are as a nation. It's really heartening to hear and see. With that, we'll turn it over to the superintendent for comments.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Atherton, Vice Chair Padilla, members of the board, students, staff, and community members. This month has been full of meaningful connection across our district as we continue to deepen our engagement with students, families, and community members. All have shared many events that they have attended and connections that they have been able to make. Over the past few weeks, I met with our superintendent student advisory groups at Cedar Ridge High School and Partnership Academy High School. These conversations continue to be one of the most valuable sources of insight into the student experience in Orange County schools. Our students have been candid, as I'm sure you know, thoughtful, but yet solution-oriented as well, offering feedback that will directly inform how we strengthen teaching, learning, and school culture. I'm looking forward to our upcoming session with the Orange High School student Advisory Group, where I know we will continue this important dialogue as well. As a couple have mentioned, I think Mr. Atherton mentioned, we were honored to host State Superintendent Mo Green and representatives from the Department of Public Instruction at Orange High School. It was a privilege to showcase the exceptional work happening in our schools and to engage in meaningful conversations about the future of public education in our state. We have some very lofty goals coming down from the state. If you have not seen the strategic plan for North Carolina, please take a look at that. And as we continue to craft and work through crafting our strategic plan, you will see some alignment there as well. Additionally, I want to extend my sincere thanks to the OCS community members who attended our strategic plan listening session at Cedar Ridge High School a couple of weeks ago. Your participation and feedback are critical as we develop a new strategic plan that truly reflects the priorities and aspirations of our community. For those that were unable to join us, we hope to see you at our next session, which will take place at Orange High School on December 2nd at 6 p.m. We appreciate your continued partnership. Thank you, everyone, for your ongoing support and engagement as we continue to work together to ensure every student in Orange County Schools graduates with options. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Next, we have our consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're now at our work session. We're going to start with the YMCA after-school update.
All right, good evening, Chair Atherton, Vice Chair Padilla, members of the board, Dr. Jones, and the listening community. I'm delighted to stand before you this evening to provide an update on the Orange County Schools after-school program, our partnership with the YMCA of the Triangle. Since the Board of Education approved the recommendation to partner with the YMCA in March of 2024, our leadership team members from both Orange County Schools and the YMCA have worked diligently to transition after-school programming services at our 7 elementary school sites, as well as our 3 middle school sites to YMCA oversight. I am joined this evening by Mr. Aubrey Vinson, Executive Director of the Chapel Hill Carborough YMCA, to provide an update on overall program implementation, including program enrollment, program offerings, staffing, and licensure. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Vinson.
Thank you, Dr. Gammon. Thank you to the board, Dr. Jones, for the entire OCS community for inviting us today. As Dr. Gammon mentioned, this has been a partnership now that has been in place for a little over 1 school year. However, it started even before that. We're proud that over the last 18 to 20 months, we have worked really hard to implement programming that serves a lot of kids, as you're about to see, in a lot of different ways. I stand up here representing the YMCA, but I also represent 5 full-time youth directors who work directly with Orange County schools and children and programs, and around 40 part-time staff, many of whom are also OCS employees during the school day. So I'd like to start first by talking about the programs that we are able to offer at the Y. The first and largest are our after-school programs, and we offer after-school programming at all 10 schools within the district, 7 of which, all elementary schools, are licensed. The 3 middle schools are not licensed. We also offer intercession camp at HES during intercession breaks. Those 2 programs, after school and intercession, were offered previous to the YMCA coming in and being a part of this partnership. New programs that we've added since we've come in are Summer Day Camp, which this past summer was held at River Park Elementary, and Teacher Workday and Holiday Care, which is offered at New Hope Elementary. Those are, as I mentioned, newer programs, so the enrollment has started slowly but is growing very quickly, and we're very happy with that. A program that existed pre-partnership, which I'll talk about a little bit, is Y Learning, which is at New Hope Elementary and is a free academic support program. We currently have 20 students enrolled there. who are able to get extra curriculum assistance with certified teachers from New Hope. And then in the downtime, when they're not getting academic support, they join the after-school program, and they get to run around and have fun with the other kids at the school in the school's after-school program. So those are the 5 main programs that we offer. A little bit of enrollment data. As you can see, our numbers in after-school specifically have grown from last school year to this school year. We are up from 419 kids to currently serving 441 students. That is just in after-school. Our largest site is Hillsborough Elementary School, where we have 162 students. And our smallest is Orange Middle, where we serve 4. So one of the things that we talked a lot about, especially during the application process for the YMCA to be chosen as the provider, was our business plan to bring over as many of the former after-school employees to the Y as possible, knowing that many of them were OCS employees. And we worked very hard to build relationships, both with principals and with those staff, to be able to build trust, to be able to build opportunity. And we are very, very happy and pleased to say that as of last year, 27 of our staff that joined the after-school program were former OCS after-school staff. So we were very successful in bringing over a very large percentage of staff who had worked with the OCS after-school programs prior to this partnership starting. Of those 27, we had 25 renew this year. A couple retired, and that is certainly understandable. And then additional to this year, we had 5 new staff join who were previously with OCS but just did not work last year. And one of the reasons I wanted to highlight that was just because of the importance of relationships within this community, and we found that out very quickly. There was a high level of trust with these staff, with parents, and with the schools, and having them on board was a bridge that helped the YMCA come in with a fairly seamless transition to start running the programs. Y directors, I mentioned that we have 5 full-time staff that work with the schools as liaisons between the part-time staff to the principals, to the school staff, and to the parents and families. Licensing was a large component of the application process. The board and the school district made it very clear that licensing and being a licensed program was important. So the Y agreed to go through the process of becoming a licensed program. As of September, all 7 elementary schools are in the licensing process and are under a provisional license. Through that process, over the next few months, we'll receive some unsanctioned visits will be evaluated by our provider to make sure that we are doing everything correctly. To date, all of the visits we've received perfect scores on. I talked a little bit about partnership, and I want to use the word partnership and not vendor. We were very clear coming into this that we wanted to be looked at as a partner with the school district, and part of that is our financial commitment that we are making to the families of Orange County. I mentioned licensing. One of the things that licensing allows us to do is take state subsidies. Prior to being licensed, and even now during the provisional stage, the YMCA has subsidized completely the money that normally would come from the state to be able to allow students on vouchers to be able to attend. To date, that's been around $100,000 that the Y has subsidized through vouchers. As we continue through the licensing process, the state will start to pay into those subsidies, and the Y will resolve some of that financial obligation. Additionally, we were committed to making sure that staff discounts was a benefit to Orange County school staff that we continue to implement. To date, I've given out over $18,000 in in discounts to OCS staff. Program scholarships for families that need financial assistance. To date, we've given out around $15,000 in program scholarships. Just to be clear, all of these totals and numbers are not just for after school. These are for all of the programs that the YMCA has offered Orange County, the ones that I went over a few minutes ago. And then finally, I mentioned Y Learning. Y Learning is a free academic program. We work very closely with the principal and the administrative staff at New Hope to identify students who are in financial need and also need additional academic support to be chosen for this program. These children receive 100% scholarship to be a part of Y Learning. And this is a program that goes back to around 2016, 2017, when we first started at New Hope. That program annually costs the Y around $45,000 to implement and run. Once again, that is a financial obligation the Y carries 100%. So to date, from July of '24, when we first started at Hillsborough Elementary last school year, till September, the Y has invested around $178,000 into the community to support our families and our kids. In closing, just wanted to say thank you to everyone, not just the folks in this room, but really the people at the schools, the staff at the schools, the school administration, the district administration. It's been a really, really incredible process, and I am thankful to be a part of it, and the Y is grateful for the support of everyone involved to get us to this point. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Ms. Dahl?
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I find it really informative, and I appreciate how you explained different aspects of it. One of my kids worked at the Y a couple years ago and really loved being in there with kids. You can't recruit him, though. He's out of state, so he's too far. Anyway, again, I'm excited about this partnership and learning more about it. I was unfamiliar with Y Learning, and I think that's fantastic that we have another tutoring avenue for our students. Those are so vital. The licensing process, I was unaware of that as well. Could you explain that just a little bit more? And I appreciate, again, that the Y was absorbing these costs that otherwise would be covered by state subsidies. So, just what it entails exactly, or what it actually license you as, what does it mean exactly?
Sure, absolutely. I will put it in layman's terms because I am not the expert on this by any means. We actually, one of the 5 staff members I mentioned, her responsibility is tied directly to the licensing part of the project. Licensing allows you to be recognized as either a 3, 4, or 5-star provider. And so really there's a couple of reasons to do that. One is the recognition that you are approved by the state, that you are following the criteria set forth to be a 3, 4, or 5-star provider. And the second is that you are eligible for state subsidies depending on which level of star you are. So there's a tremendous amount of criteria built into it, from the staffing side of things to the curriculum. The facilities are a big part of it as well. So that part of the partnership has been a lot of work between not just the Y, but also the district, to make sure that each of the sites, each of the 7 elementary schools, fall within the state required criteria for facilities.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
I think a couple of the other standards that are required, just as a side note, was CPR training for everyone, and then each staff member needs to go through training as well for childcare.
Right.
And then, as you mentioned, once you get your star ratings, then the state will reimburse. Do y'all know what star level you'll reach? I know that it depends on which ones you complete, and it's not we're only going to get to 3, or we're only going to get here, because it depends which ones you actually satisfy in the ratings.
According to the contract that we've signed with the school district, 5-star is the requirement. So we are working towards that. And right now, entering at the provisional level, everything that we've done as a foundation has been to get to 5 stars.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Ann?
I just wanted to say thank you, because anytime you change something, sometimes there's a little hesitation in what you're doing, especially when it involves teachers in our district. And we had a lot of teaching assistants and teachers who worked in our after-school program. And so when we decided to change, I think there was a little hesitation there about what's going to happen to our teachers. And so I just want to thank you for taking our teachers and working with them and letting them be a part of this program. I know they appreciate it, and I know they enjoy working with children, whether it's during the day or after school. They enjoy working with children. And so I really appreciate the work that you all have done to make sure that our teachers feel welcome and are a part of this program. So thank you very much.
Thank you for those kind words. I can tell you that having worked in childcare for a large portion of my career, the professionalism, the talent from the OCS staff who transitioned over to the YMCA has been remarkable. And so we were blessed and fortunate to be able to bring over as many as we have. And as I mentioned, that really made this transition into this partnership possible. So thank you for those words.
Souter?
Oh, sorry. Thank you for this, and honestly, it was really encouraging to see the enrollment growth and the staff retention. Those are hard numbers, and the stability is really exciting to see. And I was curious a little bit about the enrollment number. So it's 4 in a middle school, 162 in one of the elementary schools in this 4. So what is the typical enrollment in one of the schools?
So HES is certainly the largest at 162. The 3 smallest are the 3 middle schools. So combined, the 3 middle schools are around 20 students total combined. For the elementary school, the enrollment's anywhere between 20 and 50 for most schools. There's a little bit of fluctuation in that. I don't think we have any schools under 20 though. So it's there's large fluctuation on the end with HES being an outlier, but most of the schools are going to be within that other range.
Yeah, that's helpful. And just on the Y Learning, it's funny, I saw your presentation, and when you talked about it, I didn't realize this was the program, that was the pre-COVID program, which was a celebrated program in the district, so it's exciting to hear that it's back. Yes. I'm just curious why we've never brought it to any of the other schools.
I would love to have that conversation. There is a financial, as you can see, there's a financial piece to it. Right now, the YMCA, not just for Y Learning, but for every number I gave you on the financial obligation that the Y has absorbed, we do that through our scholarship fund. And so anytime that we look to add additional forms of scholarship, whether it's program scholarships, member scholarships, or through starting a Y Learning program, we look really hard at how we're going to raise that money and how we're going to go about that, whether that's through community support, whether it's through grants and foundations. And so anytime that we want to have the conversation or if there's an interest in it, I think it's a very valuable program. But there would be, we would need to make sure that we secure funding for it to make sure that it's something that we could offer with the level of quality that we would want to do it. Yes,
great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? I just want to echo what Ms. Purcell said and how important it is to keep our staff engaged in these activities. It is very critical. A lot of people depend on this, and also we depend on them because they know our students. They know, what each student needs, and also, a lot of people may not realize that there's snacks and healthy snacks for all the students as well. And we really appreciate the partnership and all that y'all do and all that our staff does every day for those students, especially at the end of the day when they're getting ready to go home. So thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have school nutrition and CEP, the Community Eligibility Plan update.
So good evening, Board Chair Atherton, Vice Chair Padilla, board members, Superintendent Dr. Jones, OCS staff, and members of the public who are here and attending virtually. Thank you for the opportunity to share how our participation in the community eligibility provision continues to positively support both students' access to healthy meals and the financial outlook of the school nutrition program. At Orange County Schools, we know full students learn better. The school nutrition program is an essential part of the OCS vision, fueling learning by ensuring that every child has access to a healthy breakfast and lunch, regardless of their household income, every school day. The community eligibility provision, from here on out referred to as CEP, allows eligible schools to offer meals to students at no cost to their families. Eligibility is based on the school's identified student population, which means their total number of students who are receiving government assistance from either Medicaid-free, Medicaid-reduced, or SNAP. To calculate the ISP percentage, we take the number of students directly identified at that school and divide it by the school's total enrollment. That percentage is then multiplied by a 1.6 USDA multiplier, which determines the percentage of total meals that are reimbursed to the district at the higher reimbursement rate. If a school's ISP is 62.5% or greater, essentially 100% of all those meals will be reimbursed at the high rate. This graph tracks the benefit of CEP on breakfast meal participation over the last 4 school years at qualifying schools. The first year the district was eligible for CEP was the 23-24 school year. Note the increase in breakfast participation at Partnership Academy when the meals were available at no cost to students. An increase in participation was also noted at the elementary schools participating in CEP. These schools were already receiving breakfast at no cost to families as a result of the district's decision to continue funding the universal breakfast. And this increase in participation was contributed to an increase in marketing by the school nutrition department and also by continued support by our school administrators and their staff. I wanted to note that these graphs reflect meal participation by average daily attendance, meaning that the number of students who participated in meal service divided by the number of students in attendance that day. This allows us to track participation percentage even though the student enrollment changes over the years. Industry performance standards for breakfast participation for the program is anywhere between 25 to 35% participation. So you can see how participation in CEP helps us with meeting those performance standards. Sure goes. Yep. This slide demonstrates how participation in the CEP program has increased overall lunch participation at our CEP schools. So lunch participation for industry standards should be anywhere between 65 and 75% of student attendance. Electing to participate in CEP has increased lunch participation, especially at Partnership High School, where traditionally we have a much lower participation rate at lunchtime. So this slide demonstrates the financial advantage of participating in CEP. It outlines the difference between total meal reimbursement rates for CEP schools versus the reimbursement rate for traditional paid students status at our elementary and high school. So what I wanted to note was to point out, and just to kind of tell you the difference, so the CEP no-cost reimbursement is what we get from the federal government at our approved percentage. The CEP paid reimbursement is the rate we get for what we fail short of. So at our new 95, I believe, 0.41%, all the meals that are provided and turned in for Central, New Hope, Effland, Partnership, right, get reimbursed at the first column rate. The 4.59% of those meals that come at the lower cost get reimbursed by the middle rate. So you can see at the higher percentage rate, that reimbursement rate is much higher than our traditional paid students if we were going the non-route. What I mean is for lunch at Partnership, we get reimbursed at $4.71. If those students were paid, we would only get reimbursed $3.80 total. So the increase in our revenue is contributed to that difference. Let me find out where I am now. So the schools reimbursed at the no-cost rate receive significantly higher revenue per meal served compared to the traditional rate. This makes participation in CEP not only beneficial for our families, but also financially sustainable for the school nutrition program. So I just wanted to note that last year, this board approved the regrouping of our 3 participating elementary schools and Partnership as one group. This regrouping allowed for the reestablished ISP to be 95.41, allowing all schools in the group to qualify for the highest no-cost reimbursement rate, which was an excellent example of collaboration and strategic planning. Oops, sorry. So our Q1 comparison results reviewing the number of meals served between the first day of school of traditional school through October 31st, at the reestablished ISP, it resulted in 327 more breakfasts and 386 more lunch reimbursed at the higher no-cost rate than if we would have continued with the previous ISP. This shift represents a stronger reimbursement return and demonstrates how the CEP regrouping directly benefited the school nutrition financial bottom line while ensuring that our students remain fed. This slide compares the school site revenue based on utilizing the current ISP claiming method versus last year's ISP percentage. So utilizing the current ISP and the site regrouping resulted in a profit revenue for the first quarter, which was through the end of September. When this slide was created, the October reimbursement had not been filed with the state. So you can see by utilizing this, looking at August and September versus last year's method, this year's method resulted in $2,852.71 profit versus the last year's rate. So CEP just continues to be a better financial option for us as far as school nutrition. So as we wrap up participation highlights, we recognize that CEP alone cannot solve our food insecurity that we're seeing in Orange County. OCS is committed to our family, and our efforts extend further. We want to ensure that every student has consistent access to nutritious food regardless of the circumstance. With this mission in mind, we continue to implement supports, partnerships, and communication efforts that directly connect families with resources both inside and outside of school. And here are a few examples of what we continue to do. While many of our families were impacted by the delay in SNAP benefits, we partnered with community organizations to connect families with food resources. Updated information will continue to be provided on our school nutrition website as it is made available. And our social workers and food pantries continue to be great resources for families to obtain information and additional support. Also, new to this year, we're participating in the Fresh Fruits and Vegetables program at 5 of our schools, those being Central, Eflin Cheeks Global, Grady A. Brown, New Hope, and Pathways Elementary. This program began the first week of November and provides both students and teachers the opportunities to sample fresh produce twice a week at no cost. And I can say we are trying to do some things that we don't typically do. We were hoping to do some dragon fruit this week, but costs were just a little too high. So food and supplies needed for this program are reimbursed by the USDA. Finally, through a grant partnership with the Orange County NC Cooperative Extension and the OC Solid Waste Department, Orange County Schools will pilot share tables at 3 schools. Those are New Hope, Grady Brown, and ALS. The goal is to reduce food waste and reallocate unopened or unserved food. Students who are still hungry after meal service will be able to choose from additional food resources at no cost. Equipment and signage will be included as part of this pilot program, and we are hoping to have that started right after Thanksgiving. So in closing, the CEP program strengthens our ability to fulfill Orange County Schools' mission, preparing our learners for lifelong success by meeting their most basic need, access to nutritious food. I want to thank you for your continued support of both the school nutrition program and the other programs that make this possible. So this concludes my presentation for tonight, and I would like to open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Ms. Padilla?
Thank you for the presentation, and I'm grateful for your team that we continue to feed children. And last year, when I asked you, what are we doing with the excess food? And the answer I got was not pleasing, but I'm happy to hear that that's going to change, so thank you for that.
And I will say as a follow-up to that, we have had a talk about food composting. New Hope will most likely be our first site that will go out, but we're talking about the potential of partnering with Solid Waste Department to do collection of unused food waste in the cafeteria. So not just from the kitchen, but also teaching our kids and being able to compost that. And that, if it goes through, will be at no cost to the district.
That's great. Now you're speaking my language.
Mr. Hall?
Thank you, my first thought was, Ms. Pitts is going to be excited she gets to start before 8 o'clock. It seems like you're usually having to wait till 9:30 or something. Thank you so much for this presentation, and it's exciting to see like creative solution, trying new things, and so I enjoy reading about those. Also, appreciate the point of how important it is to have high student participation in the meal program. And I'm just thinking, and all of them went up, so that's great because things are working, but also noticing just how drastically partnerships went up. And there were a couple things going on in partnerships. So I'm trying to think how much of it, like what are some of the factors? Because, there was the building change, there was some food offering change there. So what are some of the factors that caused partnership to jump from like less than 15% to 65% or something?
So honestly, I think it's because we allow them to have access and they don't have to make a choice, right? So now we are taking food to them and breakfast is there right as they walk in the door. So Mr. Gilbert in his smiling face is standing there to greet them every morning and to ask them whether or not they want breakfast. And then at lunchtime, we have food in their gymnasium. So they have plenty of time to come through the line, eat, and then still be able to converse with their classmates and also participate in the gym. Where before when they were walking over, part of the time was the walking time, and then they had to determine whether or not they wanted to go to the cafeteria and eat or whether they wanted to go to the gym and play. So this allows them access. We're also allowing them to dictate their preferences a little bit more. So in the morning, they will choose what they want. We'll create their lunches for them, but we also have extra there. Because if they're like me, right, sometimes you walk in and one choice may sound good, but when you walk in and smell the options, right, you may decide to choose a little differently. So we have more food there for them, and we allow them to serve themselves.
Great, thank you.
Ms. Smiley?
I'm so glad we're doing the CEP program, and I'm glad to see that it's had a positive financial impact on operations. I have two questions. One is around that and around the additional funding that you're able to save there. Like, how does that get spent elsewhere in the program? Or are you putting it towards fund balance? Or like, how are you using that? And then also the share table pilot, you said that the grant included like equipment, and I was like, what kind of equipment does a table need? Is it like a little fridge?
It is, yep.
Okay.
Yep. So for the share table, they will get a cart that goes to the cafeteria where they can place those things that are shelf stable. They'll also have a small refrigerator where things can go in. It will also include shelving to go wherever the school administrator decides that the extra food is going to be stored, whether that be with the social worker, whether that be somewhere in the hallway where the kids have the ability to select during the school day. So it will include that for the 3 sites, and I know he's looking for potential additional funding to help support with some other things. As far as equipment, we have a lot of equipment that is aging that I am so grateful for our maintenance department because they keep it running for us. So it will be used to start replacing some of that equipment that's aging out, and especially our high need schools.
The additional funding that we're saving from the program.
Yep.
Great.
And so we will have to provide all of that to the state before we start to purchase that equipment. But yes, we'll be phasing out some of our stuff that needs to be replaced.
How can you tell if the pilot is successful? Like, how are you gonna, it seems to me, I'm like, do that at every school, that's great. But like, do you anticipate that expanding, or how are you gonna measure whether it's successful?
So I think in looking, it's based on the Zero Waste. So that organization that went through, and I believe they started either in Durham or Wake, and then have kind of been making their way through. So it'll be based on a lot of their data, plus whoever the site administrator will be kind of calculating what the students share to that table and just looking at actual waste, right? Starting to do studies to record how much of that actually is going onto the share table and out of the trash can. And then looking at if our students aren't utilizing it, is there ways to get it back out to the public, right? So can we put that into maybe bags that go home over the weekend, right? Can we do other things with it? Because it's already been accounted for. It's already been paid for. So can we share it outside of just the students in our school? Can it start to go home and help support our families?
This is really exciting. So thank you for going after that grant, and great.
Ms. Hauser?
So thanks for this. I have to tell you, I know you're really fixated on the economics, but the growth, and even for the other schools, there's hundreds of kids that weren't eating before eating now. It's really impressive. Thank you so much and congratulations for that. And then these additional supplemental programs shows your sensitivity to our students beyond the numbers, so really fantastic. So thanks for that too. You mentioned something that I've been confused about for years, and hopefully you can help. Because you talked about kids on Medicaid, kids with SNAP benefits, and I'm curious, because in the old days, we'd get the free and reduced lunch forms, and that would not only tell us who was entitled to a free and reduced lunch, but it would also set our economically disadvantaged students in the past. So what are we doing now for these schools, and what are we doing to see if other schools might qualify?
So when it comes to our CEP numbers, we will pull those kids that are directly certified. So that has to come through the information that's provided to DSS, to NCDPI. We may miss a few students, being when you look at your DC students, just the student directly certified. So we are working with the social workers. We're also reaching out to parents to say, do you have any other students that are in your family? Right? If one student directly certifies, our system only allows to pull that child. We're really working with the cafeteria managers, with the principals, with the social workers to say, do they have other kids that we haven't identified that we can extend those benefits to, right? And that determines.
So just so directly certifies means through Orange County Social Services?
It means that they're getting some type of government support, yep, that they're identified.
Got it.
Our students that don't get CEP, that can get free and reduced price lunch, they either come with the ability to participate in another program that doesn't come through the direct cert process, or it comes based on income. So those income-based applications they help our economically disadvantaged number, but they don't have any impact on whether or not we can participate in CEP.
Got it.
So we're doing everything we can, to identify all students, because I want to help take that financial burden off of our families, but also to make sure that we truly understand what our schools, the numbers that our schools have to be able to participate in some of these other programs. I would have to bring and converse with Ms. Wagner, but my understanding is when we're looking at our demographic numbers for someone like Central, the only kids that you're going to see on Central's demographics are going to be those kids that directly cert, or if they did a meal application where the parent has multiple kids at other schools. I believe she uses the CEP numbers when she does federal reporting based on our socially disadvantaged.
What did you call it? The
Yes.
certificate people that are certified was not the word you used.
Directly certified? Yeah.
Yeah, directly. Okay, got it.
So she would be able to expand on that a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Ms. Purcell?
Just wanted to say thank you for your hard work on this, because things have changed, and it's nice to see. I also wanted to give you a story about your dragon fruit. As you know, I have a granddaughter at Pathways, and yesterday she said, "Grandma, do you know what dragon fruit is?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And she said, "Did you know there's also a game on your phone on dragon fruit?" So now she's seeing dragon fruit at school, and she's got a game on my phone. So thank you for introducing more things to her, because she's the pickiest eater there ever was, but she knows what dragon fruit is, so thank you.
We're trying, and I can say I couldn't do this without the help of my staff. They are truly amazing.
Thank you.
I just have one question.
Okay.
On the fresh fruit and produce, that's a federal program.
Mm-hmm.
Does that fund the farm to table, or how is that actually fulfilled?
So with our fresh fruits and vegetables, our ability to participate in this is based on the demographics of that school. So if we are eligible, then we will apply. Now, what happens with those is we actually bill the state and get reimbursed for supplies and food that's actually included in that program. So say we have, I'm just going to say Eflin, I think we ordered 550, right? 550 servings. If they don't consume all those, then we just give them out to the school the next day, right? We're not allowed, because it's already reimbursed, we're not allowed to bring it back in for National School Lunch or National School Breakfast. So that's part of looking at, we need to bring those pilot programs in to share that food, because if we don't utilize those and the children don't eat them, that's something else that could be shared out for the family. So the farm to school program is a little different. That's what's set up through Department of Agriculture, where they go out with farmers and they will get bid lowest prices for local produce and sometimes local meats, and then we can choose to utilize them. And a lot of times when that funding is close to a one-to-one price difference, we will do that. I will say, I'd like to give a thank you to Mr. Pope and his team and First Hand Foods for being able to bring in local beef for our National School Lunch Week. So we were able to bring that in and give that to our kids. I don't know that we'll be able to do that again, even though they really liked it, just because there was a huge, I'll just say there was a drastic difference between what we can usually buy our hamburgers for and what that came in at.
Well, I did see the posting and really appreciated y'all highlighting some of our local farmers, and really appreciate everything you and your staff does every day. And, you know, I know that every nutrition worker knows every student in that school. They know their family, what they like, what they don't like. And I love seeing all the drawings the kids bring to them and they post every week, especially I believe the most popular is Pizza Fridays, but thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, next we have the artificial intelligence update.
Good evening. My name is Paige Horton, and I serve as the digital learning coach at Cedar Ridge High School and Orange High School. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to share how Orange County Schools is preparing our students for a world where artificial intelligence is reshaping how we live, how we work, and how we learn. Tonight, I would like to discuss what artificial intelligence is, how rapidly it is evolving, how it is transforming education, and most importantly, how Orange County Schools is adjusting to this rapidly changing technology with purpose and intention to ensure that every student has the skills and competence they need to succeed and lead in a world that is being driven by artificial intelligence. In Orange County Schools, we expect thoughtful, responsible, and intentional use of AI. So in keeping with this expectation, I want to be transparent in sharing that tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Canva were used to support the refinement of language and for the design and development of the visual elements of this presentation. All AI use was in alignment with our school's district AI use guidelines, as well as the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction's recommendations for AI use. I share this because this is the type of personal AI use that we intend to make standard practice in Orange County Schools. To provide some more a basic understanding for this discussion, I'd like to take a moment to clarify what we mean by artificial intelligence and generative AI. When we say artificial intelligence or AI, we're simply talking about technology that can do things that typically require human-like reasoning, things like recognizing patterns, making predictions, or helping people make decisions. Generative AI, or Gen AI, goes a step further. Gen AI is a form of artificial intelligence that doesn't just analyze information. It can actually create something new, like text, images, computer code, or even video, which is why bringing generative AI into education is such an exciting opportunity. Gen AI doesn't just give students information to consume. It gives them the tools to create, to experiment, and to explore ideas in completely different new ways, which is when deep learning actually happens. Not when students memorize answers, but when they think critically, create something meaningful, and solve real-world problems. So now that we have a clear understanding of what AI and Gen AI are, let's take a look at how rapidly this technology is advancing and why that pace of change is so important for us as a school district. On this slide, you can see, or barely see, just how quickly AI has evolved. This timeline begins in November of 2022, which is when AI first entered mainstream use, and moves through major developments of AI until May 2025. When you look at how much progress has happened in just a little over 2 years, it's outstandingly evident that this technology is advancing at an incredible rate. In fact, this pace of development is unlike anything that has ever been seen in education or in technology as a whole. And what's even more impressive or surprising is what has happened over the last few months. The previous slide, sorry, no, you're good, ended in May. This slide has all of the development for AI that has taken place between only May and July of this year. So it's important to note that the advancements that has taken place in the last few months has actually outpaced the rate of advancement for the first 2 years of AI. And the pace of advancement isn't slowing down. If anything, it's speeding up. In fact, this timeline is only updated through July. However, the amount of advancement that has occurred from July until today is equally as impressive. And the only reason the advancements are not recognized on this timeline is because the rate of advancement is happening faster than it can be recorded. So, in putting it plainly, quickly does not even begin to describe how rapidly AI is advancing and evolving at a pace that matters to Orange County schools because the world our students are living in is changing faster than school has ever been asked to adapt before. When we look at these timelines, one thing becomes crystal clear. AI isn't waiting for anyone. It's already shaping how our students learn, how teachers teach, and how schools prepare young people for what's ahead. So what does this mean for education? Let's look at some data that helps us understand how this rapid pace of advancement is showing up in our schools and what that means for us in our ability to keep pace. The data on this slide tells a clear story. The world has already changed, and it's happening at a pace that's hard for education to keep up with. According to the Digital Education Council, 86% of students are already using AI for schoolwork. Students are naturally curious, so they're experimenting with AI, but they're doing it without structure, guidance, or guardrails. That is why the World Economic Forum now identifies AI literacy as a core competency on the same level as reading, writing, and digital citizenship. But while students' use of AI is rising quickly, classroom use is not. According to a study conducted by the RAND Corporation, only 18% of teachers nationwide are using AI in instruction. And here in North Carolina, only about a third of district leaders say students are actually receiving training on how to use AI responsibly. This is exactly why AI integration in Orange County schools is so important. It is our responsibility to help students use AI responsibly, ethically, effectively, and safely. And yes, this responsibility brings challenges, but it's also important to recognize that AI integration also brings enormous opportunity. So let's take a look at how AI has the potential to strengthen teaching and learning in Orange County schools. As we think about what's next, take a look at how AI can help us build classrooms that are more equitable, more efficient, and more engaging for students. AI has the potential to help teachers adjust their instruction so that it meets the individual needs of all of their students, which allows every learner to have a more personalized learning experience. AI can also free up time for teachers by taking on some of the busy work, things like grading, planning, and data entry. AI gives teachers more time for what matters most, like designing meaningful learning experiences, checking in with students who need extra support, providing constructive feedback to students, and time to build those important relationships with students that make teaching possible. And when we talk about being ready, future ready today, students need to have more than the ability to just use technology. They need to know how to question that technology, like AI, how to make good decisions with it, and how to use it in ethical and thoughtful ways. And the good news is, when we integrate AI thoughtfully into classrooms, it opens up opportunities for students to analyze information, solve problems, spark new ideas, and think more critically. So as you can see, AI opens up a lot of opportunities for teaching and learning, but it also is important to remember that AI does more than support classroom instruction. It can also help us move forward in the goals laid out in the Orange County Schools strategic plan. When we look at our strategic plan, we can see exactly how AI can help us move that work forward. AI helps us prepare students with the skills they'll need for the future. And as just discussed, it helps teachers work more efficiently, giving them more time to focus on instruction and more time to build meaningful relationships with students. It also helps us support and grow our staff while keeping equity, access, and safety at the heart of everything we do. And to make sure this work continues with clear direction and purpose, Orange County Schools has developed a 3-year AI integration roadmap to guide our progress in the way that is equitable, sustainable, and student-centered. The AI integration roadmap is developed to move us from building a strong foundation to a full implementation across the district. In year 1, we are focused on building the foundation by providing training, setting clear guidelines and policies, and piloting what works best in classrooms. In year 2, we will build on that momentum by expanding what's working well and sharing those best practices across every school. And by year 3, our goal is for Orange County Schools to be leading in responsible innovation where students use AI creatively, ethically, and authentically to solve real-world problems. The OCS AI integration roadmap keeps us moving forward with purpose and at a pace that prepares our students for the world they will not only survive in, but thrive in, while making sure equity, sustainability, and student learning stays at the center of every decision. And the great news is, we are already making progress on this plan. Let's take a look at where we are today. I'm proud to say that Orange County Schools is well on its way in building a strong foundation for this work. Over the past several months, we've been intentional about creating the right structures and supports. We have established a steering committee to guide this work. This committee has researched and developed district AI use policies and guidelines, as well as grade level usage charts to help schools understand what reasonable and responsible AI use looks like in practice. And to ensure that the AI tools used in our schools are safe and trustworthy, the district has put together strong safeguards to evaluate all the AI tools that are used. We research and evaluate all AI tools using clear vetting rubrics before they're used in classroom. We then maintain a curated list of all approved tools that meet both district as well as state AI use requirements. And now we're turning that groundwork into action, and in the next several weeks, our digital learning coaches will complete AI literacy train the trainer sessions, and they will then begin to develop that training to all of our teachers across all of our schools. We will also be launching our very first OCS AI Ambassador Program, which will consist of a team of educators who will help lead and support this work across our schools. So as you can see, this work is already taking shape across Orange County Schools. We've laid the foundation, we are building momentum, and most importantly, we are leading this work with care and intention, creating the foundation today to give our students and our teachers the opportunity and the future they deserve. Thank you for your time, and at this time, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Ms. Hauser?
Can I just start with one? Thank you for the presentation. Would you mind, I understand that you also are serving on a statewide task force for AI. I was wondering, I'm marveled by that, so thank you for that. I was just curious if you might share with the board and the public what you're doing.
Yes, so I actually work with the State Department of Public Instruction like the last 3 years since 2022. We have a cohort of different people within different roles across the state that we come together and we work together to collaborate. It's where a lot of the recommendations for the state were established in the work that we did together, where everybody across the state put in to say this is what AI use would look like that's ethically and using it and safely using AI. So I also am part of an international group. It's called ISTE. That I'm also a part of that AI collaborative team as well, where people from all over the world have come together to do that same type of work.
Well, that's fantastic. We're glad you work for us.
Yeah, thank you.
So now, the topic is kind of overwhelming to me, and it seems to be.
Me too.
Okay, good. So we're on the same wavelength. So I've been, even today, I don't know if you saw, EdNC had an article about the Innovation Project. It's a project's been going on in 22 districts, a pilot project where they're really doing personalized mastery of content.
Right.
And they didn't talk about it in an AI context, but it is an AI opportunity in a big way. And I'm just curious how that kind of thinking fits in, and are we looking, do we wait for the technology to come? Is this something that we're getting involved in pilots? But I'm just really curious about what we might be doing with that.
You want me to-
So I think that's diving into a little bit on the side in terms of what we might be doing curricularly. But for AI, we are balancing the path forward with the development that we're providing for teachers and for students with what there is already on their plate.
Got it.
So we are not moving at the pace that AI is moving, and literally cannot, but we're trying to take deliberate steps to ensure that what we're doing meets the need and also prepares the way as we move forward. Will we have to adjust? Most likely. But the more that we bring in and go after and things like that, it adds more to the plates of our teachers. So we're trying to be very sensitive to that while we're capitalizing on our local experts and using that knowledge to bake into our plans without having to reach out and go into other programming. So I don't know if that.
Well, you're always level setting me, so I'm not, so thank you for that. I have other questions, let others go.
Ms. Smiley?
Excellent. Yes, great to have the expertise here. And one of my questions, actually, I have like a few, I'll just ask one and see if other people have some and then come back, is how closely are we hewing to the state guidance? Because those state guidelines are extensive, and I see they've got it in a Google Doc and they're keeping track of the changes. So they somewhat recently added some content around these like companion chatbots that can be sort of problematic for teenagers and anyone. So are we sticking pretty close with what the state is guiding us to do, and where might we be a little different?
I think we are sticking as closely as we can to the state. They are further ahead than we are by leaps and bounds, although they have made a concerted effort to share that knowledge as they gain it and to invest their knowledge in the schools. So that's been really helpful. They actually coordinated the policy that we adopted here in Orange County, and they crafted it in a way that we wouldn't have to continually update that policy as we were moving forward, because as Paige's timeline showed you, we can't keep up with it. So we are doing that. They are also investing in repeated workshops for us. So we are sending a variety of, usually our digital learning coaches, but sometimes other folks, to these so that we can continue to get the information. But as Dr. Pack said, we're trying to be very intentional in how we take that information and move forward. We are moving slower than the state is because we're trying to be careful and because we're trying to make sure that what we do is the best for the different grade levels. And we do feel like what we're doing has to be adjusted based upon if you're a kindergartner versus a senior.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that approach. You know, there's some places where it's like, oh, I wish we were going much faster, but there's so much to be really thoughtful and deliberate about that I appreciate that you all are doing that. And I think the state, they're devoting these resources to be keeping on top of all of these trends and be then funneling that out to the district. So we don't need every district in the state trying to keep on top of that ourselves, right? I appreciate that we're leveraging them for this. Yeah.
Thank you. I do have several questions. I'm not really technology savvy, so this kind of overwhelms me too. My concern is, I'll just stick to maybe two, is it was mentioned that we have strong, safeguards. It is important that we do, but as a parent, can you give us an example? What are those safeguards? What programs are being utilized? And also for Dr. Pack, are we going to have some training for parents so they understand how AI works and that their children will be safe using this technology?
So we'll start with that one. We definitely can consider that, and we can partner with Dr. Lanier and the Family Academy as a topic for parents. We don't have anything on the docket right at this moment, but I think that's something that we can quickly get on the calendar.
Thank you.
So we have several safeguards in place. We started, I'll just be honest, when we first heard about ChatGPT, when it first became prevalent in 2022, we just blocked everything. That is not a sustainable plan of action. That's like playing whack-a-mole. It's developing too quickly. So we've tried to use the filters that the state has given us to sort of keep as much generative AI that is not vetted out of the hands of students, not adults. Our thinking is we need the adults to be familiar with the tools, and we can't possibly introduce them to all of them ourselves. So we have left those things unblocked for staff so that they can explore and use them. We have also tried to sort of guide them towards some of the programs that are beneficial for educators: Magic School AI, Gemini, Copilot, and Brisk Teaching are some examples. We also have some AI tools built into Canva, which is a presentation program that we use district-wide in collaboration with the Canva for Education program. We are not trying to get students on AI before we think they're ready. The state does not recommend a lot of interaction, especially for younger children. So we've tried to keep that as sort of the way we're moving forward. So we're just trying to, we can't block everything, but we're trying to keep things very closed and keep students really more focused on the programs that we have purchased, because we know that those programs are already vetted and that we know sort of, what information they have, what tools they have, how they can be used, where we can get training, as opposed to just sort of opening up the whole web for everyone.
So for example, in our literacy curriculum, there's an AI component that teachers have access to students. And it's called Amira. You may have heard of your students talking about Amira. And it's built into the program to work with the student at their level, challenge them, ask questions, read, things to help them with their literacy skills. So I'm not an expert on it, but just give you a kind of an overview at a very, that's something that students would engage in at an earlier age in elementary school. It's very controlled. There's no outside Googling, or if you say something that's off the wall, it stays within its parameters. So it's very tightly controlled in that regard. And then as students get older, they have more options to interact with more broader and free-range type of questions, those kinds of things. I don't know if that helps put things into perspective.
Ms. Doyle?
Thank you. Yeah, I just was musing, being in a classroom myself. It's kind of an interesting balance right now because, my first reaction to AI things a few years ago was like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. But, it's not like everything's not like it's all out of whack or something. I mean, it's interesting because we also have the state law restricting like cell phone use, and, there's more controls over, I can see if I choose to, what websites my students are on, so it's not like we've all moved away from, we read aloud in my classroom, we read things on paper. So it's not like, you've thrown out all these skill sets and everything's just getting programmed into your brain before you can even think them. So, but it's like an interesting balance that's going on right now for, I think, everybody. But it does seem, okay, is what I'm saying.
So I'll remind everyone, several years ago, we all panicked when, we could Google in the classroom, and what did that mean for education? And what it meant was we had to ensure students were learning beyond something that could just simply be a random fact, right? We were focusing on critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, evaluating those higher level skills. And I think as this new technology comes in, it has arrived, right? And as we integrate it into the classroom, it is that next challenge as educators, how do we, again, students of the 21st century don't need to be fact recallers for things that they can look up quickly, but they do need to be. And this is what our business industry folks tell us too. They need to be decision makers. They need to have a systems understanding. They need to understand how their actions impact others. They need to understand how to problem solve, take in lots of data and make an analysis with it. So those skills are ultimately enhanced as they are using AI as a tool, but not as a replacement for their thinking. So again, that's teaching them those things.
Ms. Smiley?
Yeah, and just to build on that point, that was some of what I wanted to talk about, was just this, I'm glad that we're moving cautiously and thoughtfully and also moving towards it because it is the future. A couple of things that I am concerned about that I wanted to just name. One is that there have been, it's moving faster than it can be studied. And so there have been studies, for example, there's enthusiasm in some places from teachers in terms of writing IEPs, but then there's research that, there has been some research that certain AI systems would suggest more, in behavioral support plans would suggest the punitive behavioral support for a Black student and the more restorative one for the white student, that depending on the source of the information, that it can have biases built in the system inadvertently. And so one caution is around carefully vetting the tools and really always being alert to this idea of potential for bias and replicating that. And then the other is, I just saw some information about this MIT study that made me think, gosh, I think it's really important as we're educating teachers and students for them to really understand the brain science and how that ties to what good AI use might look like. So this one, they took a group of people, they put them in 3 groups and asked them to write 4 essays in a row over the course of 4 months. And one group couldn't use anything. They just had to write the essay themselves. And one group had to use Google, and one group could use ChatGPT or 4.0, one of those. And And then they measured their brain activity while they were doing it over the course of those. The first 3, they were just in their own group. And then in the last one, they had them switch. So they had the people who had to just write the essay themselves. They could use ChatGPT. And the ChatGPT people, they had them try to write an essay by themselves. And they measured their brains. And what they found was that their brains showed the people who had started with using ChatGPT as a tool had the weakest connectivity across their areas of their brain, especially in the parts responsible for deep thinking, working memory, creative problem solving. The folks who used ChatGPT couldn't, nobody in that group could quote something that they had written because it wasn't deep, their thinking wasn't deep enough. They were just kind of using it as a, so, and the conclusion there was like, maybe you start with your own brain and then use ChatGPT as like a support afterwards. But it just has me thinking about like how important it is. The jobs of the future, the ones that will be AI proof, are the ones that require critical thinking and good judgment and all of these things that like kind of get shut off a little bit if you outsource it to ChatGPT in the first place. So there's something about like making sure teachers and students understand how it affects them, their brains and their development, and then also making sure, and I don't know if this is part of what you all are working on for this, or if it's part of the strategic planning or where this falls, but like so many types of jobs are going away and other types of jobs are going to replace them. And regardless, like our kids are gonna need really sharp critical thinking and good judgment and those kinds of things. And like, how are we as a district doubling down on like ensuring that they get those skills so that they can be like, they can succeed in that world?
I'm so glad you asked. Because we get to talk about one of my favorite topics that we're doing right now in our district is we're really talking about the power of explicit instruction. And we just finished our third round with our administrators and our coaches and talking about cognitive theory, cognitive load theory, and how learning gets stored in the brain. So we're really focusing on how we teach novice learners, and everybody's a novice at some point through their course, right? We've all been new at something. We're new at technology, right? Even we're continually being novice learners. Novice learners don't need to learn through an AI platform. AI is not for new learning. AI is to use what you've already learned in a new and different way. So we're focusing simultaneously on what's happening in the classroom, explicitly teaching new and novice learners and also struggling learners because they learn that information the same way, and how we get that information to be long-term stored in the brain, while we're also planning to, once we get that knowledge, that's when the appropriate time to enter into using these tools are. So it's a balance, but it's, again, focusing on the learning and so thank you for that. And also, we do not use ChatGPT, just for the public, to write IEPs. I just wanted everybody to know that.
Fabulous. Yes, good.
Ms. Hauser?
Yeah, I'm just going to speak as an old lady here today, because 20 years ago, we didn't have cell phones. I went to school, we didn't have computers. I can remember my company getting its first 2 floppy disk computers, and then all of a sudden it changes really fast. And so I appreciate this conservative view, but I really believe that we are, I love the part that this is happening faster than we could ever imagine, and it's going to be changing what we teach and how we teach it. And we can't afford to be on the bleeding edge of this for sure, but it's going to change fast. And as the board, the question that we have is, what can we do to help you monitor change, identify pilots that might suit Orange County schools to move for things that are of interest to us, and also the burden that this is going to be putting on our staff, which always says, well, we're going to need this much money, folks, but, you know what I mean? But really, this is the time, this is such a massive transformation and as you're thinking about the strategic plan, over the next 5 years, the answers you're giving us today are not going to be the answers you'll be giving us during that time. So I invite you to really think about it in that way. Thank you. I mean, it's really fantastic.
Yeah, and I'll just, I didn't know if there are any other questions, but just wanted to reiterate something that Dr. Pack said about the amount of work that's on our teachers right now.
Yeah.
And so balancing the curriculum, the standards, now having to come in and how do we incorporate AI, and there are lots of other things. And so I really appreciate your comment with, how does the board support with that? And I think, having some experts on staff that are working with state and international groups and really staying abreast of all of that. And also the level of engagement that the team has at the ground level, because a lot of our work happens in the buildings with staff and surrounded by students. And so being able to gauge that and the readiness there. And so I feel like when it's time and appropriate for us to start bringing in something that we'll be able to bring that back and share some of that with you all, some recommendations. But for now, I think there's no way we're going to catch AI. There's no way. However, but I think, and some people have some hesitations around it as well. I remember the floppy disk and all of the things. And when I could have a jump drive, I was so excited that I could just walk around with something on my keychain. And now those don't really exist anymore either. But being able to slowly implement this the right way. But for sure, what we are mainly focused on is making sure our students master the standards that are appropriate for their grade level, that they graduate with options, and understand what those opportunities and options are, and that we develop them into critical thinkers so that whatever their opportunities that present themselves for them, that they're able to function and think through processes and be employable, because we know that those are the skills. Yes, some jobs are coming in, some jobs are leaving. It's kind of, some things are coming out in the wash there, but we know that if we help develop students with those skills that are durable skills, and we do a lot of those like naturally, like the goal setting that we do with our students, that is a durable skill that will last a lifetime for them. And so there are many others that we're working on as well. And so that's what we're focused on more than anything else in any type of programming that can come in.
Ms. Smiley?
Just one other thing, two other things. One is the individual tutoring, like you mentioned, Amira. I'm really curious. That seems like that has some great potential. So I hope as we explore those things that we're like evaluating, I'm sure you are, like, is this working or not, or that kind of thing, because that does seem high value for addressing like many student needs. And the other is just appreciation for all of this work, because it's very complex. And I'm sure it must take a lot of critical thinking and time. So thank you.
So I have some comments, obviously, around this. And you're right. It is rarely available anywhere. In the industry I work in, we use it every day. And we see it evolving. We utilize it. And I think just for a few points for a lot of people, I guess, is where does AI get its data? The internet. Is the internet right? No, it is not. And, we have a common frame or term that we use at work. My AI is hallucinating again. And it's a nice way to say it got it wrong. And if our kids and our staff aren't able to recognize and know how to use it, that's when we really get into trouble. And I think a lot of people don't realize that every phone will come with AI built in. It's already shipping. Everybody can get that. And to Ms. Smiley's point, the hippocampus, that is where it interconnects with the frontal cortex. And that's where all of our short-term goes to long-term. All of those studies have shown when you're using AI, it shrinks. And that does affect how we interact, our social skills, et cetera. And I think a lot of this is us coming to terms with how we teach people to use it and understand it. Like, where is its data coming from? It's not always right just because it gives you data. It's only going to give you what you ask. And as the generative part becomes more and more complex, trying to understand what we're seeing and what it means, I think is going to be key. And we're already seeing the external industry react to it and utilize it. So I really appreciate all of y'all's efforts at all levels and trying to figure out what makes sense, because it is scary, but at the same time, we cannot ignore it. We need to empower our teachers, as stated. We need to empower our students to recognize how to use it and how to understand it. And make sure that as we move forward, we figure out where the right models are. And the tutoring is a perfect example I've seen multiple times where it can actually interact and tell you, oh, you've made a really common mistake, and it, is quite friendly. The other thing that I just want to mention from my perspective is us thinking about closed systems versus open systems. And to say a little more for those listening in, the open systems share data out and back. Closed systems do not. And so this keeps your data within inside your own entity. But there are so many tools out there that are evolving every day, and there's no way you can block them all, especially if a student walks in with a cell phone. But just wanted to reiterate, thank y'all for all y'all are doing, and thank y'all for y'all's guidance, and especially our teachers that are trying to figure out how to leverage this and how to teach it to students. Thank y'all. All right. We are at the end of our agenda for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting.